So, welcome to your very formal orientation. That would be nice to do in person, but Zoom. So, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look through the documents on the email, and if there were any issues you wanted to address first.
I had a chance to look. There weren't any issues. I emailed whoever I was supposed to email for my login. They got back to me really quickly, and they put in my VPN access, and they said I should have it in 24 hours.
Perfect. Yeah, as long as you contact them beforehand, and I shoot them an email as well, it should be fine.
Great.
And while you're here, the help desk is usually really helpful if you have any issues with your badge or computer login, anything like that.
Okay.
So I kind of just have a document to go through. Stop me if you have questions, and we'll go from there.
Great.
So in general, there are the 6 teaching teams at Denver Health. You'll each be on your own team. I have it. I do have the schedule right here. So you'll either be on the 8th or 9th floor. The 8th floor are the trees, and the 9th floor are the mountain teams. So Karima, you are on Pikes on the 9th floor, and Kyle, you're on Juniper on the 8th floor.
Right.
Yeah, and so and you guys remind me, it looked like you have a orientation on Monday morning.
Yep.
From 7 to 8 now?
Yeah.
Okay. So typically the way we'd have it work is then when you're done with that, you can just come by my office. It's on the 9th floor. If you come off the elevators and turn to your right, all the elevators face the same direction. So off the elevators to your right, it's there's double doors, kind of last door on your right. It's room 911. So easy to remember. And I'll give you your pager and can check in if there's any other questions. And on each team right now, we have at least one intern and a senior resident. And then most of you have a sub-I for most of your time. I think the sub-Is not sub-Is, have a 3rd year for most of the time. There will be a break on the 25th and 26th of July, because that's when one rotation ends. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week, there won't be any 3rd years, and then they'll be back. But they're, you aren't responsible for teaching them. You're always welcome to teach them, and you're not responsible for overseeing them. In general, we don't have you see the same patients just because we want to kind of spread out the efforts. If it's unavoidable, that's okay. And if it becomes an issue, let me know. Generally, the goal is to have you guys see 4 to 6 patients. The first day on rounds, I typically, especially since you get here at variable times, we're not expecting you to pick up patients. I would say more planned around with the team, have a list, and which either I or your senior resident will get you depending on what time you get here. And then from there, kind of decide, I'd like to pick up these patients and we're going to get an admission. So if I could do the first admission, let me know. And then we do tend to try to prioritize the sub-Is doing admissions during the day as much as possible. A lot of your patients will also come from overnight admissions. And please recognize, we know you can't possibly have done everything that you would have when you've known a patient for an hour, as you would have had you admitted them yesterday or for several hours. And so I think the key there is really making sure you read the H&P and then go and talk to the patient and verify as much as you can and develop your own differential. Recognizing sometimes overnight the picture is completely correct, and sometimes after a trial of diuresis or some antibiotics, things become a lot clearer. And we do expect, if the picture has changed, we would want you to kind of modify that problem list, and that's completely okay. Overall, the workflow is pretty similar to what it was as a 3rd year, with the exception of you don't get pulled away for those other educational experiences, which is nice. So 6 a.m. come to get sign out. That's going to be in the 8th and 9th floor conference room respectively. We kind of divided that up for social distancing purposes. Then from 6 to 8 or 8:30, depending on when you're in a round, do pre-round on your patients. 8 to 10, 10:30 generally is rounds. With social work multi-D rounds at the like 10:30 or so time. It's different for every team. And I think the biggest part of this is trying to be as prepared as you can for rounds, because your attending evaluation is obviously pretty important, and this tends to be the most time you have with them. So really focus on those organized SOAP note presentations and H&Ps. I would say things that like help us know like your sophistication, your thought process is having a good summary statement for your patient. Ideally coming up with your own, even if it's only slightly different from whatever else has been in the chart. Really either making sure you agree with all elements of it or coming up with your own. And then the prioritized problem list, and talk through the differentials when appropriate. If it's a new patient coming in with chest pain, we want to hear about your differential, but when it's day 4, after we know that it was a pleural effusion, we don't like try and adapt your presentation daily. Those are the kind of things that definitely help us to understand your thought process more. And then just like when you're a third year trying to keep on top of all of the labs, know as much information as possible about your patient. We recognize it's not possible to know absolutely everything about everyone all the time, but trying to be that go-to source. The challenge here becomes more, you're having more patients. And so keeping up with that becomes more challenging. And I think haiku on your phone is what some people find helpful. Other people are completely fine using just the computers. It's, in my mind, more about knowing what you're looking for rather than kind of stumbling through the chart and I'll look at everything here and everything here, but consciously checking, oh, they had blood cultures drawn yesterday. Let's see if those have resulted, and looking for those specific things. Let's see. And then other schedule stuff every day at noon, we have noon conference. Unfortunately, we don't have food for the students, but we do have teaching. And then about half the days it's in person with me here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then usually Monday we do what we call like the national conference on a Zoom link, which I will share with you guys on Monday. And any day if the conference room is too full, you guys are welcome to sign on to that national conference, which is just all 3 of the sites, to get some teaching that way. And we record a lot of those on a YouTube channel that I can also give you the link to if you want to get some more lectures. And then the afternoon is reserved for just kind of finishing up notes and taking any new admissions. I think other big highlights and differences that we kind of have expectations of sub-Is that weren't as much expectations for third years are absolutely you should be the one calling the consultants on your patients, and should, whenever possible, be the consultant's primary point of contact. And then as much as possible, we'd like you to put in orders for your patients, and then pen them for your senior resident to sign. That's just a good way for us to see like, oh yeah, you were totally on like repleting potassium. Oh, totally on top of it. Already got it in. And it's a good thing too, to start thinking about dosing of medications, because that can be time consuming when you actually get to that point next year. And then the other difference for sub-Is versus third years is we do want you to stay till sign out in the evening and give sign out as much as possible on your patients. It's not only updating the sign out, but giving that verbal handoff and answering the questions is typically a pretty helpful way to think about your patients and also kind of become a more important part of the team. And then you'll also work, I have each of you down for 4 nights. I have listed in a chart like cross cover or nights, with the thought being you could do cross cover a couple of the nights and do night admissions a couple of the nights. I will kind of defer and leave it to you depending on your experience and depending on patient flow. I think typically as long as the hospital is pretty busy and you're getting admissions, the new admissions overnight is probably the best use of your time. Just being able to actually see those undifferentiated patients when they come in is pretty important. And the cross cover can be a little more challenging because it's like an intern taking a page, telling you about it, and then you telling the intern what they want to do, and then the intern does it, and then intern tells the nurse. So it's kind of a lot more communication. and not, it's a special skill. Everyone gets a lot of it as an intern, and it's not something that is, I think, is useful for your learning or development of your thought process as those admissions. But no, it's something always, if the hospital's totally full overnight and there's really no admissions, you can always help out with the cross-cover patients. And then let's see, I will have pagers for you in my office on Friday, or sorry, I'm getting them on Friday. I will have them for you on Monday when you get here. We want you to have it. You can always give it to the nurses to call you. A lot of the communication now is tending to be through secure chat, which is nice because I feel like nurses didn't page med students as much, but they definitely secure chat you guys. So as long as you log into the treatment team, you should certainly be added. And then your progress notes do count. There's an attachment on that orientation email of how to make sure that's going through, and everything is listed properly in the computer. I think for the first group of sub-Is or AIs, we had a little challenge. I think it's worked out, but if something doesn't look right, let me know and we'll email the help desk to get it sorted. Let's see. Yeah, and then I think other things you'll do, Dr. Pierce is the site coordinator, and he'll work with you about a quality improvement project. It looks a little different nowadays just because of COVID and everything going on, but he should contact you probably sometime next week about starting to approach that. And then I'm trying to think about, scrubs. You guys won't be taking care of COVID patients. We don't have any of the teaching teams on the floor with COVID patients, but there are COVID patients on the 9th floor, things like that. So I don't know, do you guys already have scrubs, or would you like access to the scrub machine here?
I would need access. I have like one pair, but I think I return the rest to the university.
Okay, cool. So I will send you guys a link. I'll send you guys a link. It's just a spreadsheet, and I can get you, actually I should be able to get you if you send me the information, because you guys both have Denver Health badges. Okay, cool. So if you guys send me that information this evening, I can get it, or tomorrow I can get it taken care of, and it should be ready on Monday.
Would we be allowed to wear our own scrubs?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. I have some fit issues with the ones there, so.
Yeah, I know they're kind of a weird sizing pattern. I don't know, they're not predictable.
Yeah. I'm 6'8", and I don't think the tall scrubs really get there.
No, they definitely don't.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So
you would advise us wearing scrubs then every day?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
pretty much everyone is. I think it's just everyone is, and who I think feeling comfortable. Most people are either changing like right when they get home or before they get home,
okay.
Just as a way to try and keep things separate.
That sounds great.
And I'll get you access. You get one pair at a time. That's kind of the tricky part.
Okay, so how does that work? If you're I guess I could, okay, you have my pair at home and then just wash it like every day.
Yeah, well, you can return the dirty pair and they'll get you a new pair.
Oh, okay.
But you can only have one pair out at a time.
Okay. Is it a machine or is it a person handing them to you?
Yeah, it's a machine.
Okay. So you have to have another pair of clothes because you probably can't walk to the machine without your scrubs on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's frowned upon.
I mean, you could probably maybe get security called, but up to you. And the scrub machines are on the 2nd floor, right where the elevators open is the old surgical intensive care unit waiting room. And that's where the scrub machines are. There's a return machine and a pickup machine. And you just scan your badge and it should say getting your scrubs and you can get one.
Okay.
Cool. And then let's see. So that's really all the stuff I had. I always leave it longer. What other questions, concerns, issues do you guys have? Or if not, that's okay too.
So then the cross cover and night shifts, those are just flip schedule 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Or do we need to be showing up earlier or staying later? Or?
Oh, good point. Yeah. So the cross cover actually does start at 5 p.m. So it's 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so, and I have you guys staggered, so I don't think, so you'll be the only AI on any given night. So you can really kind of have your pick of admissions.
Okay. But you think that the night shift itself would probably be a better fit for us?
Yeah, and what I'll do is I send an email like the day or 2 days before your shift to you and the swing resident, and you can page or call the swing resident when you get in, because the swing resident gets here at 3 p.m. and the night admitter, might not get here till later. So you can check in with the swing resident and they'll say like, okay, I'm really busy right now, but this, like the next admission would be good for you, or I want you to start working on this admission. Because there's always admissions during the swing shift. And I think that is the kind of more bang for your buck of just really working through a new admission is not something that you honestly get to do as much during the day. And even when you do, it's kind of disjointed and there's always a lot of other things going on. So the opportunity to really focus on admissions, thinking about the order sets, as well as thinking through working up these new diagnoses is really helpful.
Okay.
And then you don't stay to present in the morning. You finish your H&P and I would say go over it with the night resident or the swing resident, and kind of staff it with them. But they don't stay either to present in the morning.
Great.
Yeah. What other questions?
Have the AIs been wearing white coats?
No, not anyone's really wearing white coats right now. I guess some attendings are because they just leave them here in their office.
Okay.
I don't think they have. I think you're welcome to, I guess maybe it's more like 50-50. I think if it's something that you usually do and you find it helpful because you can carry some materials there, go for it. I would just advise like keep it here and then take it home and wash it immediately when you
Okay, that sounds good. No,
it.
I won't wear it if I don't have to.
Yeah. Some people are like, the very few people are attached, but if you want to, you're totally welcome to.
Right.
Yeah. What other question? And then I know people sometimes just like a heads up. So right now, this Sunday will be halfway through the resident rotation schedule. So then you'll have like 2 weeks. You guys are on the same team the entire time. You go to nights and then come back to the same team. And then I think with the exception of, I guess one person ends on nights, but she's not on this call. But you're on the same team the whole time, but you'll have different attendings. Those attendings change generally once a week on Monday or Tuesday. And there'll be a new resident team starting Monday, the 3rd, August 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the residents that are listed for our team, are those the interns or are those the senior residents?
So they are listed kind of separately. If you look on the schedule, there's a resident, there's 2 columns, like the brighter color is the senior resident and the lighter color is the intern.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I
Got it.
Just for maximal confusion. So I'm trying to like, see. For Pikes, so like for Pikes, right now it has Miranda Horner. It's actually, I should fix that. It's actually Hannah Scher. Actually, sorry, I'm just doing this while I'm in it, looking at it, making sure I do it correct. Hannah Scher is the senior resident, and then Brandon Sachs and Tevi Ribeiro are the interns.
I see. Okay.
And then for you, Kyle, Elizabeth Bloman is the senior intern, and Alex Hayden is the intern.
Perfect.
And then there's the family medicine interns will be there's one will be joining on Friday of next week.
So, like during our hack rotation at the end, we ask people to evaluate us. Is that the same for a sub-I?
Yeah, so good question. So I think just like feedback in general is important, and it's probably more important now because the goal of this rotation is that by the end you're ready to be performing at intern level. And so in general, sorry, I'm trying to look and coordinate mentally these two schedules. So I would say in general, like when you're going to be done working with any senior resident or attending, whatever your last day is, I would ask for just verbal feedback from them. I don't, unless you have heard differently from the School of Medicine, I don't think you have like the directly observed feedback forms for this rotation. So you don't have that like nice structured of like, I'm required to do this, please give me feedback. But I would say, again, like before you go to nights or when you know it's an attending's last day, they're generally pretty good about giving you feedback verbally. And then certainly if you're going to be working with someone for a couple weeks, it's good to check in about halfway through and say like, we're about halfway through a time. I'd like to do, is it okay if we do some midpoint feedback? And then I think generally people also try to get a letter of recommendation from someone they work with on their sub-I, which I think is very reasonable. In general, I would approach it by first saying, I'm a sub-I, I'm going into neurology, medicine. I would like to get a letter of recommendation. Would you be willing to write that? And I would say that more kind of upfront, and then they can pay extra attention as they go through. You can say like, would you be willing to write, and not necessarily ask them for one. That's okay. I've never had people like be upset that they were asked if they were willing and then not having to write one. But giving people the heads up is important. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Some people are really great about remembering details, and some people keep track of details about people either way. But giving people like that warning shot of at the end of the rotation, I'm going to ask for a letter, tells them that, okay, I should write down like, oh, this day they did this wonderful thing, because it's really those specific examples that stand out, and it's easier to do those ahead of time.
Okay.
Trying to think. Let me pull up. I think I have. Let me look. I'm going to look at the. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just looking at the attending schedule here. So it looks like you guys. Let me look again. It seems everything is in a different place, of course. So many Google Drive things open my chart. Okay. So your and like the colors on one don't necessarily transfer to the colors on the other. So
I mean, I think I'm pretty impressed with this spreadsheet. It's wild.
Oh yeah, it's there are a lot of them. So Pikes, I think actually, let's see, I will be one of your attendings for a little while. I wouldn't get a letter of recommendation for me in all honesty, just because I'm not like a senior faculty member, so no one would care as much what I say.
Sure.
Just honesty. And then Juniper, it looks like Dr. Prostak, you'll work with maybe twice, because you go,
yeah.
20, oh no.
Then I think I have him like as my last week.
Yeah. So, and Dr. Reed is excellent too. I mean, really all of the attendings that are on right now are hospitalist attendings. They know exactly what to say for internal medicine letters. They're all very good teachers, very approachable. So I feel free to approach any of them. If someone said, and I think it's good to approach potentially more than one in case someone says like, hey, I don't have the bandwidth, or I don't foresee it, but was like, I really don't think I can. I didn't think you did great. That rarely to never happens. But it's good to say, if that actually did happen, you would want to know that at week 1, so you can get some feedback and work on it. And by week 4, be ready to ask for a good letter.
So just to recap, we're on the first, so say for example, next week we start on Tuesday might be the first time we're actually presenting. We would tell the attending on Tuesday, we're hoping to get a letter from our week working with you.
Well, I think that we usually, I would say, let me look here. So there'll be a new attending on Monday on all of the teams. And usually on Monday, they'll take some time to set expectations. And so that would be a time that you'd say like, I'm planning to ask one of the attendings I work with this month for a letter. Is that something that you would be open to, you know?
Yeah.
And they're expecting that.
Okay.
And they're good. I think, again, rarely to never does this come up. All the med students here usually get rave reviews. But if you ask someone for a letter and they say, yeah, sure. And then you have to keep tracking them down and they're really not following through. You can always talk to the School of Medicine. They can sometimes help people. Or you can email me and I'm happy to kind of touch base with them.
Okay.
If you ask someone for a letter and they're like, yeah, I'm happy to write you a strong letter of recommendation, like perfect, that is your person. If they say, yeah, I can write you a letter, just be cautious. You want someone who's like, yeah, I will write you a great letter. And usually people are pretty straightforward about that.
Okay.
That's
Sounds good.
Yeah. What other, you got, parking. Unfortunately, we don't have parking for students, so it is kind of street parking, which sucks.
Yeah.
Although probably closer than our parking right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're over at 6th and Acoma, so it's like a 5-10 minute walk.
Oh, okay. What happened happened to the main garage on Delaware?
It's all patients and visitors now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the nice part, at least, is that it's pretty light out when we're going to be walking. I think it's a lot harder in the winter.
Yeah, and if ever you like you are here late or anything, you can ask security to go with you.
Okay. That sounds good. I'll have my pepper spray with me too.
Perfect.
I live at like 11th to Sherman, and it's like quicker to walk to Denver Health from there than to like drive over to 6th and Tacoma and then, or like find in the neighborhoods and walk. It's
That's
crazy.
lucky.
It really is. It's true. No, having to park there. I don't live that close, but it's only like a 10-minute drive, and parking there has now doubled my transport time.
Wow.
So that's fine. Let's see. And just always too, if something doesn't seem right, if you have questions, if you're having issues, let me know. You can either come to my office or shoot me an email. I do have, like I said, I'll be on service one of the months, and I'll be out on vacation towards the end of the month, but let me know. Just sorry, I have a phone call about a code pager.
That's okay.
No worries. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much. Bye, Kyle. I'll see you Monday.
Are we ending this?
I'll see you Monday.
Can you hold on just a second? Okay. Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Email me if you have anything
Bye.
else. I'm happy to answer. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome. Hi, Jane. Sorry about that.